Hello, hi, and welcome to the Basics of Programming with Pico 8. Pico 8 is a fantasy console. It aims to emulate the consoles of old, the 8-bit consoles as it were, and for us we'll just use it as a very nice little platform to try out some things and eventually develop games. And I will be assuming that you have no knowledge about programming at this point, so I will be explaining everything that I do. You can follow along with me if you go to this site, pico-8-edu.com. This is the free web version of Pico 8. There's also a desktop version. It costs about $15 or 15 euros, but this is free, so you can follow along. So to get to our code editor, we have to press escape, and now we can type our code. So I want to build a guess the number game. And this is the first concept that we are learning. Comments. In Pico 8, you start a comment with these two dashes, and comments are meant to be extra explanations in code. They are ignored by the program. They are not executed. They're just there to provide additional information for you or for the other people on your team if you write something very complicated. So, all right, guess the number game. And here I will write what I want to do. Pick a random number. Ask player to guess. If lower, say it is lower. Say if lower, if guess is lower. Let's go. If guess is lower, tell the player the number is higher. If this is higher, tell the player the number is lower. If correct, ask to play again. Perfect. So this is what I want to achieve. Again, these were comments. These don't have any bearing on our actual program. So games are made up of loops. To create the illusion of movement, we are constantly drawing to the screen. We won't have any animation in our game, but we will still use the loop to get input from the player. So we need to define two functions that Pico 8 will then call for us. These are called update and draw. We should put all of our code that draws things to the screen in the draw function and all of the logic in the update function. This is how you create the function. A function is just a block of code that you can reuse over and over again. And these two functions are special because they are expected to be here by Pico 8. In fact, if you use the desktop version and you start a new project, then they will already be written out for you. And we can now just assume that everything that we write here, like print, which is a way to draw stuff to the screen, it will be run by Pico 8. So if I run my program by pressing Control R, then I should see 1, 2, 3 being printed to the screen. And that's exactly what we get. So, perfect. Print is also a function, like I said, and 1, 2, 3 is input. So, we said that we need to pick a random number and ask the player to guess. Well, perhaps we can just draw the text first. So we will print some text, and to use text, we have to wrap it in quotes. Otherwise, it will be treated as code to be executed. So see here, function is a special keyword, end is a special keyword, and print is a special. That's how Pico 8 knows that it is something that it should try and execute or run. Whereas if I put this in quotes, then I show or I tell Pico 8 that this is actually just text that I wanted to display. So the text will be, hello, I am thinking I will use multiple print statements because the screen is quite small, so I don't want to go over the right side. I am thinking of a number between 0 and 20. I will print empty string to have an empty line between here. And you guess what it is. So let's see. Okay, so a lot of things were happening. I forgot to use another function that is available from Pico 8, which is called CLS, which is short for clear screen. So now I am clearing the screen at the beginning of every frame. So every time draw is called, it clears the screen and then it draws my text. So that's how we can avoid this scrolling behavior that we had before. Okay, we have this here. Now I will write some more text. Like I will get a new line and I'll do print my guess is, and now I will print yes, and I will try this. Guess is nil. Okay, so it tried to take this guess. It sees that it didn't have any quotes, so it tries to find something that is called guess, but this does not exist, which is fine. This is very much expected. We need to create a guess variable ourselves. And to create the variable, we just pick a name for it. So in our case, it will be guess, but it can be, with some restrictions, almost anything. It can't be function, for example, or print. It has to not match any existing names, but otherwise you are quite free to pick whatever you want. So guess will be, I'll just put it at 0 for the moment. So now if I run this, then it prints 0, which is great. So here I had guess, then I use the equal sign, which is also called the assignment operator. And then I have the value, which is 0. So this is an example of a variable. The value 0 is now in this variable. Wherever I want to use 0, I can use guess instead. So for example, I could also do MSG, or I'll just say message 1 equals. I'll take this thing here. And I can do print message 01. And now this should be exactly the same, because variable contains the string that I had before here. If I change the value that goes into the variable, it also changes what I'm printing to the screen. So variables are very useful for holding on to things in memory while your program is running. So I'll take back these changes because we don't need them actually. And we can get to work on our guess. So my guess is 0. So let's say that the player can press up, increase your guess, and press down to decrease. Oh no, your guess. See what this is. Okay, so almost fits, but not quite. So I will break this string up into 2 parts. Perfect. And finally, say press X to confirm. Press X to confirm. Lovely. Okay. So now we are asking the player to. All right. Actually, we don't even have the random number yet. Let's go and create a random number. So I will call this. Will also have to live in a variable because we need to keep track of it while the player is trying to guess what it is. And I'll call this variable just num. And I will use another function that's in Pico 8, which is called RND, which stands for random. And I will say 20, because we did say between 0 and 20. So 20 here means that the starting point is 0, and whatever you put here in the parentheses, this is called the argument that you give to a function. This will be the top limit. So this will give us a number between 0 and 20. But it can also give us a decimal number. So you can, let's say, if I just print out the number, print num, it's very likely to be something like 1.4 or 2.4 or 5.58. So there's no way that somebody's going to guess that exactly. So we need to floor it, which makes it into a whole number. So it rounds it down. So now see that we are giving this function as the input to floor. So basically this will run, it will give some kind of result, and the result will then be placed here. Maybe it's easier if I say random number initial equals random 20. So now we have this the very likely decimal number, and the number, let's say, call this a random number, will be the floor of random initial. So this is exactly the same that we had before. And now we can print random number, run. Now it's 0. It's always 0. Oh my god, it's always 0. What did I do wrong? Random number, floor, random number initial, rand 20, x. Why don't you work? What if I change this to interesting? Print random number. Print for 4.4. 4. Okay, this works. Print random random number equals random number. I'm already debugging. Initial is nil. Oh, because I am probably not typing it correctly, am I? Initial. Still nil? Okay, I'm sorry. I had a typo. This happens all the time. Seriously. Oh, and it's still happening. I just need to copy this, I guess. And I have a typo here as well. And this should be an O. Oh my god, very similar, these letters. Perfect. Okay, finally. And now we just need to for it. This can't be a coincidence. Was a coincidence? Okay, it's because I only have 2 here. 12, 18, 16. Okay, perfect. So that took a long time. But it's easy to make these very simple mistakes. When you program, professionally, you are likely to use a different editor than this. And usually there are some hints in the editor that say that, hey, this variable does not exist because I cannot see it. Are you sure that you didn't make a typo? So, but yeah, we got there in the end. So we learned how we can get a random number. We learned that we can floor the number. Now let's try and get the input from the player. So currently our program only does this. And although nothing is happening, it's just erasing and redrawing this, hopefully 30 times per second, over and over again until the end of time. The program will never do anything different. So to make it do something different, to make it branch, we want to use something called control flow. And a very common way to control flow in a program is an if statement. So this is how you do it. You write if, then you put some kind of condition, then you say then you say end. So, and the condition needs to be something that can be evaluated to either true or false. True and false are called Boolean data types. And basically they are the result of things like 5 is greater than 2, which is true. So if 5 is greater than 2, then actually I want to print the print. Actually, it's fine for now. Let's say that if 5 is equal to 2, is greater than 2, which we know it is, then the guess will become equal to 5. So now we should see this be 5. Perfect. This can also be something like 5 is less than 2, which we know is false. So now the guess should stay what it was in the beginning, which is 0. My guess is 0. Perfect. Okay, so the problem with this is that we know ahead of time if 5 is going to be greater or lesser than 2. So nothing really changes still. But a way to make things change is to use some kind of external input, such as a press on the keyboard. So to get to listen for or to register when the player presses something on the keyboard, you can use a function called btn, button, and give it the number of the button that you want to listen for. In Pico 8, the arrow keys correspond to buttons. So you start on the left, and this is equal to 0. Right is 1. Up is 2. And down is 3. Very often in programming, you start counting from 0. But actually, there are exceptions to that as well within Pico 8, no less. So I'm going to say up arrow. I want to increment. I want to make the guess bigger. So this is going to be 2. And now I got to make the guess bigger than what it was. So I need to say that the guess is not 5, but it needs to be what it is at the moment plus 1. So let's see what this does. So now I'm pressing up. Now the guess is constantly changing. As it changes, the draw function is drawing the new text to the screen, getting rid of the old text. Perfect. So now it should be quite simple to decrease the guess as well. So if button 3, so if I'm holding down, then guess will have to be guess -1. So I can go, perfect. And let's say that I want to actually limit the movement. I don't want to make it go below 0, and I don't want to make it go above 20 because I'm only looking for numbers between 0 and 20. So I can use another if statement. So if button 2, if yes, which at the moment is 0, but who knows what it might become during the program, is lesser than 21, then end, and I will just move this line here. So now we have 2 conditions that need to be true for us to increment the the guess variable. We need to be pressing the number 2 button, which is up arrow, and the guess needs to be less than 21. So I'll run the program. I'll keep on pressing up, and it will stop at 21. Okay, so I thought that it's that it would be exclusive. So perfect. It stops at 20 now. And actually, we can make this a bit clearer and say upper limit equals 20, lower limit equals 0. And here, where we do the random stuff, we can just use the variable instead of 20. So now instead of having a random number there, we have something called an upper limit. So this should already communicate in our code that we are checking for an upward limit. And we can do the same for the lower limit. If guess is bigger than the lower limit, I think, then so let's see what this does. Oh no, okay. I have to compare nil with number. Okay, so I pressed down, and I think it's because, okay, I made a typo again. So now I'm being stopped at 20 and 0. Perfect. And we also said that press X to confirm. I think X corresponds to 5. So if button 5, then and I was just gonna say if button 5, then guess equals 100. And yeah, it worked. And this broke the game, but it works. So I'm gonna write this down here. Something mystery here. And X is 5. I think it's Z, actually. Z is 4. Question mark. So X is 5. So let's say that the user can pick their guess, and now we need to just check if it matches up with the number. Oh, and we also need to say if it's or lower. So I'm going to use the power of variables again. And I'm going to print a variable called hint here, which does not exist. And I will define it up here. Hint equals an empty string at the moment. So, okay, because this is unfinished. But hint equals empty string at the moment, because we don't want to show anything. But when we guess, so if button 5 is pushed, if guess is smaller than number, then int equals, nope, it's higher, else int equals, nope, it's lower. And actually, if guess, now the question, how do we do comparisons? Because we are already using the equal sign for assignment. Very simple, we use double equal sign. So if guess equals number, then int equals, you are correct. Perfect. So, and actually now it doesn't really make sense to call it hint. Maybe we can just say it info, info, info. And I will go to the top. And I will change this to info. And info. Now let's run. So let's go for 12. Okay, we have an error. Attempt to compare number with nil if guess is less than num. What is happening? Okay, because actually, so if guess is less. Okay. Where is num? Where did I say num? Need to say random number. Oh, and I also skipped over this else bit. So this means that this takes a condition. So if guess is less than random number, if this is true, then this code will be executed. If this is false, then this code will be executed. So very simple. Either here or there. It branches definitely. So let's see here. 13, it's smaller than 13. So I'll try 10. Apparently still lower. I should get rid of the sign, but it's still lower. So now I'll go 4. It's higher, 7. Still higher. It must be 9. Oh no. Is it 10? Is it anything? Okay. Well, actually, I don't know if it's a bug in my program or maybe I didn't get it. So I will actually cheat and I will print the random number here so that I can verify that it works. So let's say 14. 14 says nope, it's lower. Okay, that's not good. If guess equals random number. Print info. What is this? End. Okay. Guess equals 0. Random number. Floor random. Oh. Guess is. This should work. So guess is 14. 16. Okay, so let's say 10. Hope it's higher. I know what's happening. So thought I was clever. Put this here first, but what's happening actually is that this is true. So info is set to you are correct, but then comes here. This is false, so it goes here and it changes it back to no, it's lower. So I'll put this in the end, and now it should work. So guess it's 10. I'll just put it to 10 straight away. You are correct. Nope, it's lower. It's higher. Come on, higher. You are correct. Perfect. Alrighty. So I think that's it for now. We have our little game. Let's try and save it. So save number game. Okay, this did something. I'm not sure if we can. Let's see what happens if I refresh the window and let's see. So nothing here anymore. I do load. Then it's back here. So perfect. Okay, thank you very much for joining. I hope that it was informative and fun. And next time, I guess we'll be making an even more complicated game. So yeah, thank you very much. See you soon.